I've loved running for as long as I can remember. I've done some pretty big challenges and pushed myself as hard as I could, both physically and mentally. But nothing quite compares to the challenge that I'm currently taking on, which is returning to running after having my beautiful daughter, Aoife. I've got loads of personal bests from before I had Aoife. My 5K PB's 21:53 from 2017, and my longest run ever was 115 miles in one go, with a couple of stops. So now I'm going to redefine what PB means and do PBs, which is post-baby personal bests. Getting back to running post-birth hasn't exactly been like learning to walk again, but it has required an awful lot of determination and patience to get to this point. So now I'm training for my first race back since having baby Aoife, which is going to be a 10K. So I'm going to be running my longest run in training yet, a 7-kilometre continuous easy run. So let's get going. It's a highlight of my week being able to get out for my runs. Always start off too fast, but I always do this when I go out for my easy runs. I'm like, let's go! Gotta remember, this is like the equivalent of a marathon today for me.
Anyone who's been through pregnancy, a serious injury, or just a major setback in running in general knows how difficult it can be to set new goals. So I've got to be really aware of my body, and I just feel like a complete beginner again. So a sub 30-minute 5K was a regular occurrence for me not too long ago, for example. But I've learned that it's really important just to look at the bigger picture now and celebrate what I'm actually able to achieve.
It's different today because I knew I was going to run. I knew what I was going to run, and I knew when I was going to do it. Whereas life with a new baby is like being your kit ready all day, get out at any opportunity, and there's not so much like, I guess, control over your runs and your training. You just kind of go with the flow a bit. Feels good to get out. And it feels like one of my easier runs so far. Ask me again in like, we haven't even done a kilometre yet.
So my first run back was actually a run walk that was probably around 3 kilometres in total. Then I just built up over the weeks to a 6-kilometre continuous run, which just feels amazing to keep building on what I'm capable of.
It's nice to be in a position where I'm not needed for however long this is going to take. Yeah, it's a bit of a luxury, really. And it's been quite a hard journey to get to this point with like feeding, settling, and like just getting to know Aoife. I guess it feels like a bit of a prize. It's like, oh yeah, you've been working really hard for 5 months so that you can do this. So now, here you go.
The workouts over the last few weeks that have given me the biggest confidence boost are being able to run continuously for increasing distances and doing a faster interval session. So actually running a little bit quicker for my run sessions than just conversational pace has been really confidence boosting. I've also been back at my local park runs, and it just feels really great to be back in that environment. It's super motivating and just really nice to be around lots of other runners.
2K down, 5K to go, which is just a park run to go. And I think like pre-baby me was like, park run to go, no bother, yay. But being a beginner again, I'm like, that's really far still for me. And yeah, I guess just being a beginner again makes you kind of reframe a lot of stuff about running that you maybe used to take for granted.
So I've been taking extra care to make sure that I listen to my body and also not be too hard on myself, especially if I end up missing a run or a workout. I have been making sure that I include lots of strength work in my routine. So I've been doing a postnatal Pilates class and a boot camp every week and loads of daily walks.
It's funny, like being a beginner, like even going out for runs now, I feel those nerves of like, I don't know if I can do this. But having such a long break and coming back from like a standing start, I felt those butterflies and that nervousness of like, can I do it? I don't know if I can, but I'm doing it. And, you know, I think we do get quite hung up about running sometimes. It's like, oh, it's the end of the world if I can't, but if I finish at 6.2 kilometres, the running gods are not going to strike me down.
If I had any advice for someone who was just starting out in running or, you know, scared to get back to running, I would say just take each run as it comes, but also don't put it off. I think often it can be quite daunting and scary, especially if you've run before and you're getting back to it and you don't know, you know, what sort of shape you're in or how it's going to feel or what it's going to look like and if it's going to be different. So there's no time like the present. Don't put it off. Just get out there now. I don't think there was ever any risk of me falling out of love with running. I've definitely been itching to get back to it as soon as I could, but mostly because of my love of it and because I want to do it for me, not chasing any times or anything like that.
Not that many weeks ago, I had major surgery when I had an emergency cesarean to have my daughter. So if there's anything that doesn't feel quite right, then I need to listen to that. But I'm so grateful my recovery's been really good and quite quick, but I've also taken it super cautious when it comes to returning to running and getting the right advice. So checking pelvic floor, super important. Doesn't matter if you gave birth 3 months ago or 3 years ago, if you have pelvic floor issues, go and speak to someone about it. You can fix them, I promise. I'm coming up to doing the longest run yet, and I did boot camp last night. And when you're pregnant, your glutes kind of just like give up on life a little bit. So I've spent weeks building them back up, but they are quite cross with me today.
So I guess one word to describe how I've found balancing being a mum and returning to running is, I guess, probably tough. There's just not enough hours in the day and, you know, having time to even think, let alone run, can be tricky some days. But it's also been really incredible getting back to it and also given me like a sense of purpose again, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe one day I'll be out running with Aoife, definitely in the buggy, and hopefully she's not going to beat all of my PBs.
Yeah, it can be a bit difficult when you're a new mum. Like, with your identity and stuff. So, yeah, it just feels a bit more back to normality, being back doing what I used to do before I had a baby. 6K! This is the furthest I have run continuously since having a baby. But let's do one more full kilometre for luck, right? When I first started running, I remember a quote that said, I love my body, not because of what it looks like, but because of what it can do. And it was sort of a celebration during marathon training because I was like, this is the furthest I've ever run. The same applies now, but the same should apply whatever season of life you're in. Like, our bodies are amazing. Doesn't matter what shape you are, doesn't matter what size you are, doesn't matter like what your body looks like, it's what it can do no matter what. So yeah, I feel even more strongly about it now. Obviously, you know, being pregnant, then not being pregnant, has like a huge impact on what your body looks like. But I'm still running and like I'm still doing what I love to do, and I feel very grateful for that. So don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. And that means you, all those nasty people in the comments as well. Got like a guard of honour from the geese. She's finished. 7K! And not a step more. 7K done. Feeling good. I'm not sure I'm going to get back up from this bench because I think I'm going to be a bit stiff. But 48 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. Not the pace was really the goal today. Just feeling super chuffed to have been able to run my longest continuous run since having a baby. It feels so great to be back doing running and taking on new challenges. I know it sounds really random running 7 kilometres because it's not 5 and it's not 10, but it's my milestone, and like I feel really chuffed today to have done that as my longest continuous run, especially since next up is 10 kilometres in a race. That's my goal, and being able to complete 7 without stopping to walk just gives me such a big boost to know that actually I probably can do 10. Are you training for anything? What are your goals? It's a great time of year to think about what you want to do for the next year. So let them know in the comments. And if you want to know how I got to this point from giving birth to then starting running again, then check out this video.